I have people say something similar to me all the time. I don't have time to understand myself because I'm trying to put food on my table and feed my family, or I'm trying to do my best in school. And I understand all of that. Here's the thing. We have been conditioned to live in a world through a way of thinking that has served us in the past. And we have to say it served us because you and I are here now, so it worked well enough to get us here. That way of thinking worked in the world the way it used to be. The world just changed and nobody told us it. There was no special on CNN, or the Discovery Channel, hey, the world changed. I wish there was. So we've never been given the opportunity to even mourn the passing of the world that no longer exists. So we're trying to solve our problems and think about ourselves the way we always have in a world that changed and it doesn't fit, it no longer fits. So yes, we've got all these little things going on, but what I've found in my own life personally, if I can back up and shift the paradigm within which I'm seeing everything, all of a sudden all those little things take on a whole new meaning and they become a lot less of a problem. They become much easier.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I struggled to believe in myself. I quit on my business partner. And the thing that saved me was watching the successful stories of entrepreneurs. They gave me the inspiration to keep going, as well as the strategies of what to do. And quite honestly, I still need their stories and motivation today as well. So today, let's live your best believed life and make some radical changes to your life. Enjoy.
The paradigm is this. We have been conditioned, steeped in a story of who we are that is based in separation, competition, and conflict. It began in 1859. And people say to me, Greg, 1859, it was over 100 years ago, 150 years ago, so what? It's a good question. What difference does that make? It's a good question. Here's the answer. The world we live in, the society, the economic system, the corporations, the medical model, the way that we're taught to provide for our families, the way that we are taught to have the most intimate relationships under the roof with the people that we share our homes and even our bed with. Let's just get real. We are taught to interact with humans based upon these ideas of competition, conflict, and separation. And even the most spiritually minded people that say, I've transcended that, when they are in a heated discussion and somebody pushes their buttons, they go to that lowest common denominator often of competition. They will lash out with something really hurtful to defend themselves. It's not their fault. It's deeply ingrained in our subconscious. So not if, because it's already happening, as we back off and embrace the new paradigm of cooperation and mutual aid, that is huge. It is a hugely different way of thinking. It means we live in a world that likes us, where nature is not out to snuff out every good thing that happens to us. It means we don't have to be constantly vigilant in defending ourselves from the world around us. That is a hugely, vastly different way of thinking. And we have an opportunity now to begin with an entire generation of young people who now are steeped in the glamour of war, conflict, and competition to make that shift. What would it look like to have a world where we have an entire generation of young people that know that nature likes them and that we live in a world of cooperation and mutual aid and connection? We're about to find out. We don't have to wait long to find out. So for me, simply backing up out of the minutia momentarily to look at the big picture and to make that shift, and once we make that shift, when you go back into the minutia, everything looks different to me, and that it's worked in my life.
Rule number 2 is heal your inner child with Louise Hay.
Just breathe. I want you to say to yourself your name. I love you. I really, really love you. I love you. I really, really love you. It's a new thing. You probably haven't done it before. But what we're really trying to do is to connect with the inner child within, who has been neglected for so very long. Most of us, when we look in a mirror, we criticize ourselves, we make fun of ourselves, we say derogatory things to ourselves. It's a habit. And what we want you to do is to start connecting with that inner child within you that wants so much to be loved and hasn't been for perhaps years and years and years and years, and maybe never when it was a child. I know this is a tough one to stay, but if it's too tough to start with, you can start with something like, Louise, I'm willing to learn to like you. Not quite so threatening. So I want you to, this is something I want you to do a lot. First thing in the morning, I want you to get in the habit of having your little mirror with you, whipping it out at any time, or any time you pass a mirror, say something nice to yourself. I will look at myself and say, you look fantastic, kid. And sometimes I'll say, you know, you may not be as tight and taut as you used to be, but you're fabulous. You're absolutely wonderful. We want to be our own cheerleader. We want the things that we say to ourselves support us and love us and make us feel good or make us feel silly. You know, you're a hot potato. And it's not only just saying you love yourself, but do your affirmations in front of a mirror. Do forgiveness in front of a mirror. If you have somebody you need to forgive, do it in front of a mirror. And get yourself if you have a big mirror, sit down in front of it, because you won't run away. You can't. It's too hard to get up. And you can sit there and you can cry, but you'll go through it, whatever it is, and it'll be fast. The mirror, as small as this may be, can really help you connect with yourself. We're looking in the mirror and saying, how can I make you happy? What can I do to make you happy today?
Rule number 3 is to reprogram your subconscious mind with Wayne Dyer.
One of the greatest things I think that you taught me, and it's amazing, you don't really think about it, but everything, your thoughts are really what drive everything. If you got garbage thoughts, you're gonna have a garbage attitude. You're not gonna feel good. And I think a lot of people don't. I think they kind of. I've heard you say this before. There's a passion deficit sometimes.
Right.
And I feel the same way. And I feel like a lot of people don't give enough credit to their thoughts. I think they wake up, they take a shower, and they kind of just are on numb mode.
Right.
And I think it's a conscious effort that you have to really be aware of what you're thinking.
You have to you have a conscious mind, which do you drive a stick shift?
No, can't drive. Never.
Never driven a stick shift. Do you ice skate?
I have. I'm not very coordinated.
Right. So like, well, I taught driver education years ago. Okay, when I was first starting up a business, and training people to drive a stick shift car, or to skate, or even the first time you ever get on and do an ice skating, or any endless number of tasks that you do, they all start with your conscious mind. You take your conscious mind and you say, okay, you got to let the clutch out. Okay, you got to give it a little bit more gas. Okay, you got to, and you do some of this and you drive some of that, and ultimately you get to a place where you're no longer driving with your conscious mind. You drive with your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is that place. Our subconscious mind, I'll give you an example. When I was 18 years old, I was in the United States Navy for 4 years, and I learned something called Morse code. Now in Morse code, we were 18 years old, we went to class every single day, and they just drummed this stuff into us, okay? So the alphabet sounds like this. It's da 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 da. Each, if you check it out on here, you'll find that I just went through L, A through L. Now I haven't used the Morse code in 53 years. I've had absolutely no use for it, but my subconscious mind has been so programmed that I can just call it out there. There's the letter A on your, that's da. And it's just like, this is something that I use as an example of what our subconscious mind does. It also tells us a whole lot of other things that have been programmed into us by our parents,
yes,
by our culture, by our society, by the institutions that we have.
Are they,
they're memes.
Memes, yeah.
Yeah, okay. These are just like these sort of invisible programming techniques that have been thrown at us, and they're not even techniques, they're just a way of being. And
all
they say,
rules, yeah,
all the rules that we have, this is what's possible, this is what's impossible. In reading the autobiography of a yogi, I'm looking at some of these great spiritual masters who walked among us, including Jesus Christ, who we know was able to change water into wine, and was able to, had the gift of fish and loaves and so on, was able to take stones and make bread and raise the dead and walk on water. And we say, well, this is crazy, this was just for him. But he also said, even the least among you can do all that I have done and even greater things. It's in every single one of us, in each and every one of us, to be able to heal ourselves, to heal others, to manifest anything that we place our attention on, to be able to walk on water, to raise the dead. We have all, and I've read biographies of people that have been, it has been documented, people who have done these kinds of things in their life. But we have been trained with our I can't do this is impossible. And so then we have our thoughts, which come out of our subconscious mind, are on, it's impossible. I'll never get a parking spot. Oh my God, I can't heal myself of this. Oh, I'm going to always be poor. I'll never get this job. Instead of programming ourselves, we have to redo that subconscious training in our life. That's why I tell people the last 5 minutes of the day before you go to sleep at night are the most important 5 minutes of your day. You are now going to go into your subconscious mind for the next 8 hours, and you're going to marinate there in those 8 hours, and you are going to now, as you enter into your subconscious mind, you can do one of two things. You can review all of the things that you didn't like, that didn't work, that disappointed you, all of the stuff that's going on in the world that you hate, all of the anger that you have.
Happens a lot.
Yeah,
A lot of
people
do
that go through
absolutely.
going over and over. It doesn't work for me. Oh, with my luck, this will never work out.
happen.
Yeah, and look at the way he pissed me off when he did this, and this happened over there. And then you go into your subconscious mind. You're there for 8 hours, and your subconscious mind is really, just think of it as God, And so now you wake up, and your subconscious mind, the universal subconscious mind, begins to offer you up experiences that match up to everything that you've placed in there. And it offers you more opportunities to not have things work out, more people that disappoint you, things that are upsetting to you, more anger for you, and so on. Or you can begin to reprogram the subconscious mind. And that's what my life work is about, teaching people that you use those last 5 minutes to program into, I am well, I am healthy, I am content, I am peaceful, I am unattached, I am in love, I am God, I am God.
Yeah.
And you just start to program yourself this way so that when you wake up, your subconscious mind, which can't make a distinction between the thoughts that you have or the actual things that are going on in your physical life. So if your subconscious mind is being programmed to say, this will never work out, poor me, look at how crappy the whole world is, the universal subconscious mind will begin to offer you experiences that match up to that, and you'll go through your whole life.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 4 is take responsibility with Jordan Peterson.
Do you have advice for young people in high school? You've given, a lot of people look up to you for advice, for strength to search for themselves, to find themselves.
Take on some responsibility. Do something for other people. You're doing something for yourself while you're doing that, even if you don't know it, for sure, because you're a community across time. Find something to serve.
Somebody to help.
Someone to help.
To solve.
Find a job. Do your best with the customers. Don't be above your job. You're going to get an entry-level job when you're a kid. Well, what else would you want? You want to be the boss? What do you know? You don't know anything. You could be the boss of your job. If you're working in a grocery store or you're working in a convenience store, assuming you're not working for terrified tyrants, you can be nice to the customers. You can develop your social skills. You can learn how to handle a boss-employee relationship. You can be there 15 minutes early and leave 15 minutes late. Like, you can learn in an entry-level job, man. And I'll tell you, if you take an entry-level job and you learn, and it's a reasonably decent place, you will not be in an entry-level job for long. Because everyone who's competent is desperate for competent people. And if you go and show yourself as competent, there'll be a trial period. But if you go show yourself as competent, all sorts of doors you didn't even know were there will start opening like mad.
So you strive for competence, for craftsmanship.
Yeah. For discipline. I said in one of the chapters of my books is focused on putting your house in order. It's like, well, how do you start? Make your bed. It actually took me quite a long time in my life before I made my bed regularly in the morning. Most of my life was in pretty good order, but that was one thing I didn't have in order. My clothes in my closet as well, all that's in order. Not all of it. I'm cleaning out some drawers right now, but look around and see what bugs you in your room. Just look. It's like, okay, I'm in my room. Do I like this room? No, it bugs me. Okay, why? Well, the paint's peeling there and it's dusty there and the carpet's dirty and that corner's kind of ugly and the light there isn't very good and my clothes closet's a mess, so I don't even like to open it. Okay, that's a lot of problems. That sucks. That's a lot of opportunity. Pick something and fix it.
Something that bugs you.
Yeah, but not too much. So the rule is pick something that you know would pick a problem. Pick a solution to it that you know would help, that you could do, that you would do. So you have to negotiate with yourself. It's like, well, I won't clean up this room. How do you know? Well, I've been in here for 10 years and I've never cleaned it up. It's like, well, obviously that's too big a dragon for you. Would you clean one drawer? Find out. And so imagine now you want to be happy when you open that drawer and you think, well, that's stupid. It's like, is it? Maybe it's your sock drawer, which I cleaned up in my room the other day, by the way. You're gonna open that every morning.
Yeah.
So that's like 30 seconds of your life every day. Okay, so that's 3 minutes a week. That's 12 minutes a month. That's 2 hours a year. So maybe your life is made out of, you've got 16 hours a day. Let's figure this out. 12 in an hour, 12 in an hour, 144 in 12 hours. Yeah, let's say 200. 200 5-minute chunks. That's your life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Peterson did just some math how many 5-minute chunks there are in a day. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty accurate.
It's approximately right. So you got 200 5-minute chunks and they repeat. A lot of them repeat. Mm-hmm. So if you get every one of those right, they're trivial, right? Who cares what my sock drawer looks like? It's like, fair enough, man, but that's your life. The things you repeat every day. Yeah. The mundane things. Think I could get all those mundane things right. That's the game rules. It's like now all the mundane is in place. Now you can play because all the mundane's in place. And this is actually true. So with children, imagine you want your children to play. Well, play is very fragile neurologically. Any competing motivation or emotion will suppress play. So everything has to be in order. Everything has to be a walled garden before the children will play. That's a good way of thinking about it. So you put everything in order and you think, oh my God, now I'm tyrannized by this order. It's like, no, you aren't, not if it's voluntary. And then the order is the precondition for the freedom. And so then all of a sudden you get all these things in order. It's like, oh, look at this. I've got some room to play here.
Rule number 5 is get out of the resting state with Joe Dispenza.
What concerns me, and has done for a while, is the challenge of overcoming a hegemony without a counter-hegemony, i.e. the old argument was that the only thing that could possibly defeat free market capitalism or late capitalism or corporatism, whatever you want to call this now, is some kind of centrist, state-led left-wing project. But with the fall of the Soviet Union, with a sort of total suspicion and lack of interest, most significantly in America, for politics of the old left, and a sort of a general sense that people don't want to be told what to do by any central authority now. How do we use these ideas that are about individual awakening to create and coordinate a decentralized countercultural movement that doesn't sound like it's being made up on the spot by people that just like dream catchers and eating Beyond Meat burgers?
I mean, if you study the neuroscience of culture, it's so unique because we share the same biology, we share the same brain, and because we share the same biology and the same brain, we have certain universal traits that are unique to human beings. We smile when we're happy, we frown when we're sad, we sleep at night for the most part, we grab a stick with an opposing thumb. So structure and function are highly related, and those are universal traits. And then we have our individual traits, and that's kind of like how the brain is wired, right? That's like our fingerprint as opposed to our hand, right? So we have an individual series of traits and that make us unique, and we have our universal traits, but what bridges the universality of us and commonality as human beings with our individuality? And that's culture. And culture really is defined for the most part by the past. what has worked over generations, or traditions that have sustained the culture based on one thing. And that one thing is environment. So a culture in northern Mongolia is certainly different than a culture in central Mexico, because it's a different environment, and those different customs that are created from that environment allow that culture to sustain itself. So look at great people in history that changed the culture, whether it was Gandhi, whether it was William Wallace, whether it was Joan of Arc, whether it was Martin Luther King, whoever it was that changed the culture. What they did really well is they showed people that there was an alternative future that they could actually believe or perceive in their mind. Now, you can't see that future if you're living by the same emotions of the past. And for most people, they live by the emotions of the past. What you have to do is you got to get people out of their resting state. They have to become inspired. They have to become enthusiastic and theos, filled with God. They have to become motivated in some way. They have to be moved. And when they are moved emotionally, then that energy, that emotion causes them to see the same future as that leader sees. And when you get people seeing that same future and they have that clear intention, and you combine that with a different emotion, you're changing people's state of being. Now, get enough people doing that, and what happens is you get an emergent consciousness. An emergence in biology is such a phenomenal thing, because when you see a group of birds or a flock of birds flying in the same direction, or a school of fish moving together, they appear as a larger organism. When you study that principle in biology, you think that there's a leader that everybody's following, that it's a top-down phenomenon. In fact, it's not. It's a bottom-up phenomenon, and everybody's leading. Everybody's behaving in the same way, and the appearance of a larger organism becomes more sustainable for that species. So we have such a stigma in our minds that if you lead with too much passion, you're going to get it in the end, whether you're Jesus Christ or Abraham Lincoln or William Wallace, whoever it was. The outcome for truth is usually you lose your life. But the real question is, what if everybody's leading? You just can't take out everybody now. So this is a really important time, because the emergent consciousness that has to take place has to be built on principles. And the principles that people can actually wrap their mind around, they have to keep their mind on it for a period of time where they're not distracted by technology. They're not distracted by TikTok, and they're not distracted by social media, and they're not distracted by the news. That the eminent condition of the world right now, and the way things are going based on self-interests, are all based on survival. And you can control people when you control their emotions. And when you control their emotions, you control their attention. And if you can capture a person's attention, you can capture their energy, because where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And so you could actually program people to do anything based on the emotion that they feel. And fear is a great emotion to cause people to rely on some authoritative figure to lead them away. So if there's a new consciousness that emerges that is based on not fruits and nuts, and not not on crystals, not on colonics, not on any of those things, but this is game time. This is where something else has to be born in human beings that is already innate in us, and that is the power to organize as a species. When we begin to heal one another, when we begin to inform one another, when we begin to respect one another, when we begin to shine for one another, when we begin to stand up for one another, when we begin to abilities and then demonstrate to people that there are other ways of doing things and share that right information, I think an emergent consciousness will actually take place. And God, I think this is the time in history more than ever where it matters the most.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is live a fulfilling life with Jaspreet Singh.
How does money play a part in our lives? And this was a challenge that I had to really learn the hard way, because I grew up being told money's bad, money's evil, don't worry about it, just go become a doctor. The reason why so many people create these smoke screens around money, this taboo culture around money, is because we don't understand how money plays a part in our lives. We think that more money is either going to make us evil, or, we say more money is not going to make you happy. And that's correct to an extent, because I have created this thing, what I call the quadrifit theory. And the way it works is we have 4 aspects to our life. And if you want to live a happy and fulfilled life, you have to be fit in these 4 aspects.
Okay.
And the order of them is at the bottom, physical fitness, then mental fitness, then spiritual fitness. And then at the top, you have financial fitness.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back to the bottom with physical fitness, if you are on your deathbed, you don't care if you have $10 million. The only thing you want is to be healthy again.
Right.
Because once you're healthy, you can have 1,001 dreams, wishes, and desires. Like you can actually go and do things. Like I know you've talked about your health journey on your podcast. You've talked about that with great guests, your diet, your exercise, your body. Because if you are physically not here, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So are you saying that's number 1 or number 4?
Number 1. So at the bottom, that's the most important thing.
Got it. Foundationally.
Then you have the mental fitness, because now once you're physically here, now you can start thinking about your mind. Because if you're miserable, if you're anxious, if you're depressed, if you're unhappy, more money is going to make you more miserable. And this is where now you have to understand that your mental health is its own aspect of life. You have to take care of that. Now, this could mean talking to therapists, getting the right, help, getting a life coach, doing therapy, whatever that might be. But you need to take care of your mental health. Surround yourself with people that you love. Surround yourself with happiness. Surround yourself with good energy, not toxic people. Get that stuff out, because if you are miserable, more money will not fix that. Like one thing that I always talk about, because I have seen this firsthand with friends of mine, and I'm sure many people have, where I know people who are unhappy or were unhappy and kept talking about, man, I just want to make $1 million, because once I make $1 million, then, this girl is going to like me, or this is going to happen. People are going to, want to be my friend. And it's like my whole life will change because I have more money. But that is one of the biggest lies you can tell yourself. And you are going to become even more miserable if you achieve that financial success, because now you're going to feel even more empty. You're going to see that, hey, I got my money, but nobody likes me. Nobody wants to be around me. And so this is where you have to solve that mental aspect of your life. Then is the spiritual aspect. And this isn't religious. This is more of your purpose. Why are you here on your earth? And you were talking about the things that make you feel fulfilled, the things that make you feel happy, the things that give you energy. Every single one of us have these type of things.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out what it is. Some of them might help you make money, which is great. Some of them might not. But at the end of the day, we're all here for a reason. And you want to be able to fulfill that, because if you don't, and you become financially successful, you're going to have no reason to get out of bed. Now, what do you do? And so this is where you want to be spiritually fulfilled, have a reason, have your purpose. And, if you don't know what this is, that's okay. This is where you want to be learning. So it's understanding, you have to be physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit. All 3 of these things have their own educations. Like go to YouTube, go to podcasts. You have a bunch of content on this. Just go and learn from people that are talking about it. Maybe you'll read a book, maybe you take a class, whatever it is, but start learning about that. Once you have these 3 things, this is where financial fitness has the biggest impact and the most value and the most power, because now you can live a more fulfilled life, because now the money is just like adding fuel to the fire. You can do more of the things that make you feel more fulfilled. You can be around your friends and family and go to fun places, cool places. You can have the best diet. You can have all the nice things. You can hire a trainer, but you have to have that, reason, the mental aspect of wanting these things and achieving these things. That way money can actually buy you the things that will make you happy. And this is where understanding how money plays a part in our life is so important, but then also understanding the lack of money can impact every single one of these things. Because now if you don't understand money, and if you don't have money, and if you don't have any sort of financial education, and you're constantly stressing about money, you're constantly worried about money, you don't know how to pay your bills, now you can start eating bad, and you can affect your physical health. It can affect your mental health. Financial issues are one of the leading causes of suicide. It's one of the leading causes of divorce. It can cause a lot of financial constraints, a lot of mental constraints, and it can also make you feel really unfulfilled if you feel like you don't have enough money. So it's understanding how money plays a part in our life, but then also understanding how money, or the lack of money, plays a part in our life.
becoming a monk was my biggest dream growing up. From that time period that I met the monk at 18, which we spoke about the last time I was here. And so that became like my identity from 18 to 22 and then 22 to 25 when I lived as a monk. So it's like that's been my identity for 7 years, at least in my heart and my head. And so when you get to the end of a self-awareness journey, which is actually the beginning, but you get to the end of it because you're like, oh, I'm not a monk anymore. And I'm sure you've gone through similar things like, oh, I'm not a CEO anymore of this, right? Of a business that does this. Or someone else may go through, I'm not married anymore. I'm now divorced. I am now not single anymore, or I'm not alone. I've got kids, right? It's like we all go through these identity transitions in our life. And to me, going from being a monk to not being a monk was the hardest transition that I'd been through at that time. And the question that I'm having is, I'm having reflections on who I truly am and what my skills are, what my strengths are, what my passion is, what my compassion is. And I'm saying, I want to share all of this in like a cool way through entertainment. And I love movies, and that's why the book's full of like pop culture references. And it's who I am and what I love about myself. And then I'm going, but this doesn't align with what monk life is meant to be in a sacred way. And that is like looking in the mirror and going, oh, like I'm not comfortable with that. So when I share that with my teacher and we're having this discussion, his advice, and I think this is the part that you're referring to, he says to me that there's students that come to university and then they become professors, and there are students that come to the university and then they go out and become entrepreneurs or go out and work. And he says, which do you think are better? I'm like, I mean, neither really. Like, I can't really choose what makes someone better. And he was just like, that's the point. You came here. Some people stay at the monastery and go on to become senior monks and teachers. And some people will go out and do what they do outside. And he goes, but neither is better. And it was the simplest advice. It's one of those pieces of advice that it's all about the person that says it and not necessarily what you're hearing. But for me, it just clarified the judgment I had, the attachment I had, that I could only be happy and purposeful in this way. And that's really what we're all struggling with, that currently we all have a projector screen up here that goes, this is what life's meant to look like for it to be happy. And then down here, we have the reality version of what life actually looks like. And we go, oh no, they don't match. That doesn't match. That's not working. That means I'm going in the wrong direction. The funny thing is, the version you have doesn't exist at all. It's just an imagination. It's virtual reality. And the reality that you're experiencing could actually be getting you closer to that goal than you even think, but you just don't want to go down that path because it doesn't look like the one you imagine. And that's where I was at. I was having to go down a path that I didn't imagine looked like success. But then the question is, well, what does success look like then? And it definitely doesn't look like the version in your head. So to me, I started to realize, and I genuinely believe this, and your affirmation is very useful to me, the 3 years of my life living as a monk were like being at monk school, and the last 7 years have been the exam. And everything in this book is stuff that I've tried and tested in the last 7 years. I learned it at monk school, but I tested it in reality. And I'm only sharing what in the last 7 years has perfectly worked for me to feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. That doesn't mean I don't have off days. That doesn't mean that I'm happy all the time. It doesn't mean that I don't get angry. It doesn't mean that I don't get upset, but I'm going in the direction that I want to be going in.
It dawned on me that sometimes we don't have the right frames when we're doing something, and we don't give things the right meanings. And let me explain what I mean to you by that. When we start something new, I think sometimes we forget that anything that is new to our brain may be exciting and may release dopamine, the neurochemical that is the reward neurochemical. And we feel good because we've taken on this new endeavor, whether it's a new language, whether it's retraining our brain, whether it's starting to exercise or eating better or committing to doing something that's of benefit to us, or even stopping something. Now, the very nature of how our brain works is that patterns that have been repeated over, months and years are the dominant patterns in our brain. And therefore, it's easier for our brain to activate and follow through to completion on those patterns. It's like having a highway system that's been built. It's easy for the cars to go faster on the highway system. Well, the same thing is true with our brain and the neural networks and pathways. So the pathways are the easiest for the chemicals to travel across and release the neurochemicals, that make us feel good or make us feel fearful or make us feel apprehensive or doubtful, etc., are the ones that are the easiest for our brain to activate and follow through on. Okay, part one. So that means that a new pattern, meaning stopping something or starting something, requires a little bit more of the brain's energy, and the brain wants to conserve energy. So what is our brain naturally going to do? And the answer is, it's going to resist. Why? Because it wants to preserve the energy that may be required in case there's a saber-toothed tiger that comes around from, the woods to try and kill you. So we're in this energy conservation mindset without even knowing it. Our biology is geared towards doing things that are easy for us, not things that require energy, right? Glucose. So why am I sharing this with you? Well, as you're, on your journey of brain training, upgrading your knowledge and skills, taking actions, probably different actions than you were taking to achieve the results that you want more and better results it requires you accessing higher cortical functions and a higher level of awareness, especially, pay close attention, especially when you feel resistance. Now, I came out here, I still have my workout gloves on, because as I was doing some ab work, as I was doing, some bench press and flies for my chest, one of the things that dawned on me is most people do things that they're comfortable doing, but in order to get stronger from a cardiovascular perspective, you have to challenge yourself, mix up your routines. You've got to go a little bit longer, a little bit harder, on the days that you want to expand your capabilities. So in the world of, doing weights for strength training or building muscle, there are certain techniques to use and certain strategies to use, including rest, right? Muscles built in the rest phase. So let me explain what I'm talking about. I think you know where I'm going with this. When I, let's say, do a bench press or a fly, or I walk up a hill, the place where it's the hardest, where there's resistance, where I want to quit and stop and I'm breathing heavier, I just can't do another rep, that's the point of the growth. And the more you practice at that place, right, the resistance, the point of I want to quit, I can't do it anymore, that is how you expand your capacity. Resistance happens when you're at the edges of your capacity. Now, it could be mental edges, emotional edges, physical edges, financial edges. And how does it show up? It shows up as stress, right? Stress. So stress happens when your current capacity, let me repeat, stress happens when your current capacity exceeds the demand. Your current capacity exceeds the demand. So how do you increase demand? How do you increase capacity? Well, you feel the edges and go one more. You feel the tension and keep doing it. You feel the desire to quit, but then you do as much as you can. And as you do as much as you can, you get mentally stronger, physically stronger, emotionally stronger. So when I feel like, let's say, quitting, I just say just a little bit more. When I don't feel like it, I say, I know, but just do a little bit. Why? Because I want to override my natural and your natural propensity to want to quit, to want to stop. It's natural, but I don't want to be natural. I want to be supernatural. I don't want to be ordinary. I want to be extraordinary, and that's that little extra. Does that make sense? So as you're training your brain, as you have videos to watch to upgrade your knowledge and skills, as you have events to attend, to connect, to listen, to learn, to expand. If you catch yourself thinking or feeling, I don't feel like it, I'm too tired, not today, tomorrow, that's the language, okay, that the brain uses, the rationalizations, the rational lies that your brain, my brain, everybody's brain uses to keep you in your comfort zone. Well, guess what? Everything you want, financially, in your relationship, health-wise, is just outside your comfort zone. And if you keep challenging and expanding your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial comfort zones, you expand as a human being and you start fulfilling more of your potential than standing on the edge of it, hoping and praying and wishing that you can have greater, better results.
Your personality, literally, Ed, is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is your personality, and your personality is intimately connected to your personal reality, your life. So then if you want to change your life, your personal reality, you got to change your personality. And here we go again. You got to start becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts. You got to start noticing how you act, how you speak. You got to pay attention to how you're feeling. Some people would live in guilt their whole entire life and don't even know it's guilt because at least it feels like them. So then when you start doing that, you begin to objectify your subjective self. So then when you begin to make small changes, back to thought, a new thought should lead to a new choice. A new choice should lead to a new behavior. A new behavior should create a new experience, and a new experience should create a new emotion. And that new emotion is teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. Now your body is embodying the truth, right? So then the new emotion should inspire new thoughts, and that's called evolution. So how do we get stuck? It's really simple. The stronger the emotion you feel from some event in your life, be it a betrayal or a trauma or whatever, the more altered you feel inside of you, the more you pay attention to the cause outside of you. So the brain takes a snapshot. It freezes an image and embosses that pattern neurologically in the brain, and that's called a memory. So we create long-term memories from strong emotional events, okay?
So is that true? That I just want to understand, maybe the larger the event in terms of its emotion to you, the stronger of a hold it has over you?
Yeah, well, the more it's embossed in your biology. So certain people have a strong experience in their life, and it catches all of the brain's attention. So now they think neurologically within the circuits of the past experience, and they feel chemically within the boundaries of those emotions. And so how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. Now here's the problem, that if you don't know how to mediate or control your emotional reaction to that event, and you keep that refractory period of chemicals going on for extended periods of time, so that the event produces a chemical change, and the body needs to return back to homeostasis or balance. But if it can't, then the elongation of that emotional reaction for weeks, say, for days or weeks, is called a mood. So you say, Ed, what's wrong with you? I'm in a mood. Why are you in a mood? Well, this thing happened to me 5 days ago, and I'm having one long emotional reaction. So then what you do is you keep telling the story about it, keep firing and wiring the same circuits, and you keep conditioning the body into the past. So then you wake up in the morning, you look for the emotion. So then now, all of a sudden, you keep it lingering for weeks or months. That's called the temperament. Well, why is he so angry? I don't know. Let's ask him. Why are you so angry? Well, this thing happened to me 8 months ago. I'm having one long emotional reaction. I'm memorizing my emotions. You keep it going on for years on end. That's called a personality trait. So then a person then is memorizing themselves by living in the past. And so then you say to them, well, tell me the story. Now, the latest research on memory says that 50% of what we talk about in our past isn't even the truth. So we make stuff up about the past. In other words, people are reliving a life that they didn't even have just to reaffirm that they can't change, right? So then what's the significance of this? Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Period. So then the stronger the emotion that you have to some problem or condition or person in your life, the more you're paying attention to them. So they captured your attention. So you're giving your power away to that person, right? Because they're capturing your attention. So then there's an energetic connection to every person, everything in your past, present reality has your energy connected to it. So now, this is the significance. When a person really decides to be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memory of the past, the hardest part about it is all of a sudden becoming conscious and not making the same unconscious choice. So then if you lower the volume to your frustration, to your hatred, to your anger, if you truly knew how to do that, if you lowered the volume to that emotion, you would take your attention off that person, which means you would begin to break those energetic bonds, and now you're taking your power back.
Yes.
You're calling energy back to you, and we've measured this, and all of a sudden it builds this bigger electromagnetic field around the person's body. That's energy to heal. That's energy to create a new future with, right? And then if you didn't want to lower the volume to the emotion, then just take your attention off the person. And every time you take your attention off the person, if you became conscious of that, you wouldn't feel the emotion. Now the body, though, has been addicted to that emotion because you're using that person to reaffirm your addiction to hatred or frustration. And if that person died, you'd find another one. So then here you go now. So now you're in a position now where you begin to lower the volume to that emotion, and the body's going, wait a second, you've been doing this for the last 20 years, and all of a sudden you're just going to stop hating? And the body says, well, I've been conditioned this way, and conditioning is based on the past. So when the body feels the lack of that emotion, just like a drug addict, it says, hey, you're off schedule here. So now the body starts influencing the mind to think about experiences that are embossed in the brain that are based on that emotion. So the emotion now is causing you to think in the past. If we teach a person then how to trade that frustration or that hatred for an elevated emotion, and they'll say, yeah, but you know, it was my ex's fault, or I got betrayed by my partner in business. Yeah, we know that. Okay, so let's take your partner in business or take your ex. Let's duct tape them, put them in a cannon, and shoot them to the moon. Now what are you going to do? Sooner or later, you got to reckon with yourself and change, right? So then teach a person then how to trade that emotion for an elevated emotion. Now,
trade the emotion for an elevated emotion.
Right. So you're going to give that up, and you're going to practice feeling gratitude as an example.
Yes.
And the person says, well, I can't feel gratitude. And I say, absolutely you can, because you don't practice feeling it. You practice spending most of your time feeling hatred and frustration. So now it's going to take a little time to cause that heart of you to bloom, or your heart of yours to bloom. Once they're able to feel even the smallest measure of gratitude, where they start feeling appreciation, thankfulness, gratitude, it's emotional signature. When you get something, when you're receiving something, when something has happened to you, or when something is happening to you, you say thank you because you're receiving something. So the emotional signature of gratitude means the event has already happened, or it's happening to you. So the moment you open your heart and you feel gratitude, well, that emotion then is telling the body that the experience has already occurred, and the thought then can make it into the body because it's consistent with the thought. So now you're beginning to program the autonomic nervous system into a very specific destiny. You got to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day, independent of the conditions in your outer environment, independent of your body's cravings of those emotions and habituations, and independent from time. And if you can, get ready, because something weird or unusual, some synchronicity, some coincidence, some opportunity is going to land in your lap. And you didn't have to go and get it.
Yes.
It came to you. Now you're the vortex of creation. So if you say to me, well, I was feeling gratitude, but then there was traffic, or my coworker sent me a nasty email, then I would say, oh my God, you mean you're allowing your environment, your outer environment, to control how you feel and think? You're back to the unconscious program that you're the victim to your life.
You got it.
But when you start producing those outcomes in your life, you're going to pay attention to what you did inside of you, and you're going to believe more that you're the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life.
Do you know something? In the game of life, you're playing a cricket match against an entity called the mind. No one on planet Earth can stop you from accomplishing and achieving what you want if you can bat against the googlies that the mind bowls at you. How many of you have experienced that the mind bowls googlies? Good. When it comes to exercising and jogging, how many of you know that the mind bowls googlies? Majja. Soja. How many of you have trouble in studying? Raise your hands as students. My God. And you come here, you hear all of these things. Don't get distracted by WhatsApp. Don't get distracted by internet pornography. Don't get distracted by Twitter. Don't get distracted by Facebook. Study. Don't get distracted by birds to do bird watching. स्टडी ऑल दिस डिस्ट्रैक्शन, इधर आके कुछ उपदेश देते हैं कुछ लोग, साधु लोग आपको, उस पे बाद भी फेल होता है. So one father was telling his son, देख देख तेरे क्लास में वो लूसी है ना, लूसी देख देख फर्स्ट आई है वो, और तू नालायक फेल हो गया. वो बोला देख देख के ही फेल हो गया मैं उसको, देख देख के तो फेल हुआ मैं उसको. I'll tell you something. My God. Why? Because the mind doesn't want you to win the game of life. How many of you wanted to wake up early in the morning? Raise your hands. Only wanted, I asked. Wanted to wake up early in the morning. And how many of you have done something called as setting an alarm clock? And then after setting the alarm clock, that's an alarm. Whether you want it or not, it rings. And when it rings, the mind puts its first googly. What does the mind do? By putting the googly, makes you clean bold when you do the first snooze. You are out. You are out. If you snooze, you are out. I want to say one thing, just one. And probably this will change the direction of your life. You know something, when you snooze the alarm, what happens? You decide to give in to the mind's ball. And this is how your morning begins, by giving in to the mind. सवेरे की शुरुआत होती है इस बॉलर से क्लीन बोल्ड होके, आगे क्या मैच जीतेंगे. ये तो दिन की शुरुआत है, by giving in. And it's no problem giving in. Sleeping 5 minutes extra is no problem. The problem is you develop the attitude of giving in. You tell yourself that what I decided last night is not as important. What is important is what the mind says. Because we listen. I'll tell you something, my humble advice. Because it's not just about getting up in the morning, it's about every aspect of life. Whether it's your work, if you're working, whether it's your study, if you're studying, whatever we do. The problem is, it's not about one thing. सवेरे हो गया ना, it reflects in every area of life. इसलिए मैं कहता हूँ, अगर 4 बजे नहीं उठना, मालूम है ना अपने से नहीं होता, 4:20 का अलार्म लगाओ, लेकिन 4:20 को उठो. Don't allow that snooze.
Be the change you want to see in the world. One of my favorite quotes, Mahatma Gandhi. If you're not happy with something, you're not happy with a situation, you fix it. That's why entrepreneurs are going to solve all the problems. As much as there's government and big business, I think it's entrepreneurs, it's us. We're going to solve all the world's problems because we see a problem and we want to fix it. We want to solve it. That's what we do. That's the most exciting part of being an entrepreneur, is that you're not waking up and driving to some job that you hate, where the work you're doing does not matter, has no meaning, and instead you get to do something that is actually going to touch somebody's life and that is meaningful to you, right? You get to pick, you get to decide, you get to choose, and we're trying to make the world a better place. We're going to make money doing it too, but mission first, purpose first, and then making money along the way in service of others. And it's in that combination of what you love doing with what brings value to other people that you have a successful business. Part of that then becomes being a leader as well. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with being a leader because at the beginning, we are just managing ourselves, and that's hard enough, right? It's like, have you had a hard time managing yourself? Have you had a hard time sticking to your routines and keeping to your motivation and staying strong on the things that you say you're gonna do? Like self-management, self-leadership is hard enough. Now we're gonna go off and lead other people as well. And where do we learn about leadership? We don't go to school for this. We don't have programs. We don't probably have great mentors to help us. If you had jobs in the past, or maybe you're at a job right now, you probably don't have the greatest leaders around you. Most people suck at it. But it doesn't have to be extremely difficult. And it took me a long time to get used to it and get better at it, and I'm still learning and improving. But we've got almost 40 people on the team now, and when people ask me what's my definition of leadership, it's I want people to win more than I want them to win with me. And so the key becomes wanting the humans that are on your team to win as humans more than you want them to win with you. That you can have this little disconnection. Obviously they have to do the work if they're going to work with you, but sometimes the best thing for them to do is to move on. not because they're not doing their job, but because it's the best thing for them. And so when I connect with the people on my team, it's always trying to figure out where do they want to go? What do they want to learn? What do they want to improve on? And I see everybody as running parallel paths with me. So the people around you, the people, even us right now, what we're doing right now, this is a parallel path. You've decided to watch this video. I decided to record this video, and we're sharing this moment in time. And maybe you never watch another Evan Carmichael video again. Maybe you end up watching all my videos and we end up being partners on some future business. Who knows? You know, maybe I'm seeing you every day in the future. But as of right now, we're on this parallel path together. And when somebody's with you, walking down that parallel path, the goal of a great leader, I think, should be to try to make that person leave better than how they came in. Right? Have you ever heard the expression, or maybe it's just something my grandfather used to tell me about, you know, when you go to a hotel or you go to a new city or you go to a new event, they always try to leave the place better than when you came. You know, and hopefully that's our goal for life. You know, in this life, we try to leave the world a little better than how it was when we came in. And so if you take that approach to leadership, that when you're with the people on your team, and maybe it's for a week, on some really short internship, maybe it's for a year, maybe it's for 5 years, 10 years, maybe it's for their entire life with you, that they have left a little bit better than when they came in because they got to hang around you. And not taking it as an ego play, like I'm gonna make this person's life better because I am so amazing. It's more out of care, genuine care for the people on your team. And I think when we're first hiring, we suck at it. Most entrepreneurs suck at hiring. Most entrepreneurs, their first employee is not with them, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, because they hired the wrong person. They have no idea how to manage that person. It's not that that person sucks. It's more that, you don't have the skill set. We don't have the skill sets at the beginning to know how to even find the right person, let alone manage them. And so, that's a skill that we have to develop. But I think it just starts with genuinely caring about the people on your team. That yes, they have to get the work done, right? There's a job that has to get done. But how we often think about it is more from a selfish perspective, as I need to get this stuff off my plate, right? You're overloaded with work, right? Are you overloaded with work? We're overloaded with work. So I gotta hire somebody to take this off my plate so I don't have to deal with that ever again, and it frees up my time to go and do other stuff, right? Sound familiar? Listen, at the beginning, when you bring on a team, it takes more time. It takes more time than it frees up because you have to train them, you have to listen to them, you have to care for them, you have to answer their questions. If you treat them like a robot or a monkey, they're not going to stick with you. You're going to constantly be hiring and firing and hiring and firing, and you're going to be massively frustrated and overwhelmed. And a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in that cycle where, has this happened to you? You hire somebody, it looks great on paper, you're so excited for it to go, and then it doesn't work out a couple months later, and then you decide that, you know what, I'm just gonna do it all myself, right? I know I can get it done, I'm just gonna do it all myself. Does that happen to you? That is not the path to building a movement. You can have a great little solo business for yourself, but that's not how you change the world. That's not how you realize your potential. That's not how you have the impact that you're capable of having. You have to have people around you. If you've got a big mission, if you don't have a big mission, it's just you, cool, go for it. But if you've got a big mission, then it needs to be team. And that becomes a skill set that you have to pick up and learn. And so leadership for me is, again, caring about people as humans more than caring about them winning with you. It's about discovering what they want to learn and grow and improve at, and you being a vehicle to help them do that. And it's surprising how often you can find things that support them and support you. Not all the time. I remember having one guy on my team who his dream was to be a baker. Like, well, I don't have an interest in opening up a bake shop, right? But ultimately, you should leave us and go do your passion, because I can't help you inside of this job until I open a bake shop that can really support you in what you want to do. And so, even though he wanted to stay, he was staying more out of fear and insecurity than actually doing something he was deeply passionate about. So I gave him till the end of the year. If it was, summer, so give him to the end of the year to okay, as of the end of the year, you're out and you have to go find a job. I love you, but you have to go find something that is in line with your dream, because you staying here is safe and is actually squashing your dreams. You have to go do your thing. And so, he had to go and move on. And was appreciative for it and giving him time, not like, okay, you're fired next week. And then you have other people though, and usually you can find something inside of what they care about. So the amount of people who I've met on my team who then they want to learn graphic design, or they want to learn Photoshop, or they want to learn copywriting, or they want to learn how to come up with good titles, or they want to learn better communication skills, or they want to learn, they have their lists of like the things that they want to learn. It's like, cool, as long as there's something that we've got that can help you with that, some kind of program, some project, something that can also bring value to the company, then let's do it. Because when people are working on the things that they feel like they're growing in and they're learning in, they're gonna, it's just a good thing to do because it's from the heart, And when they feel connected to your heart, everybody's happier and more productive. But it's also just good business strategy. If you want to just put your XO business strategy hat on, it's great. This is how karma becomes practical. If somebody's engaged and they feel like they're learning and they're growing and they're improving, you're going to get the best of them versus you have to feel bored and stuck and learning nothing new, right? That's what most people do in their jobs. And honestly, the bar for leadership is so low. It's so low. Most people wake up and drive to that job that they hate. So all you have to do, to be honest, to be their best boss is probably just to not be a bad boss. You don't have to be a great boss. You just have to not be a bad boss. You just have to treat somebody like a normal human being and actually have a little bit of care and compassion and curiosity to see them win in life. You do that, you're already probably their best boss of all time. I think that's a pretty low standard, but it's a great starting point to then be able to say, hey, no, I want this person to have come out of my organization, whether that's in a month or a year or 10 years from now, a better human because they were with us. And it's totally possible. It's just a mindset shift that these people are on your team because they have something to prove as well and they want to learn. And it's not just about you saving your time and dumping stuff off of your plate and giving it to somebody else so it can be all delegated away. It's that you are a leader and you care about people and you want to see them win. And you're responsible for making sure that they get pushed outside their comfort zone. You got a big mission inside you. It's a huge mission. And you can't do this alone. And you may not have the skills yet to be the leader that you want to be. Maybe not yet, but you've got a big heart. And honestly, that's the biggest skill that you ever need. Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. To get some incredible Joe Dispenza motivation, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I assert that if you're not in the present moment, you're running a program. And paying attention is being present. And it's a skill just like anything else. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. And you know when someone's present with you in your life,